for their children, too much defilement in some places, and nothing is done. A child of 12 years is defiled and the perpetrator moves freely without any problem. So when I was finishing my education, I wanted to help overcome these problems by making sure that I follow up cases regarding children, report them to police, and these people are sanctioned before court, and at least they are taken to prison to make sure that the children they stay in the safe environment. And we're doing this by making sure that we sensitize community members, especially school teachers, and then the local leaders to ensure that if there was any case, they would quickly run to our office, report it, and we give some support, especially on legal advice on what best they can do. Now, in the group of our organization, we're 5 people, and we're people of different. We did different courses at university. There are those who did for example, IT. There are those ones who did law. There are those ones who did social sciences, and there are those ones who did agriculture. So for any case, the advice would come from a technical person who knows about a specific area. So child protection, we're mainly aiming at ensuring that children live to fulfill their potentials without any abuses. And in case there were to be abuses, we'll try a way of counteracting them and avoiding them so that at least a child has an opportunity to grow without any problem. We formed what we call child protection committees, and these were committees which were responsible for ensuring that no child rights were violated within the community. And in schools, we had what we call school management committees. They're responsible to ensure that children rights are not violated while in the school setting. That's what mainly I was looking at child protection. Why I involved the disability, it's because it's everyone's right to grow up healthy. So we tackled that area of disability because at least every child has a right to proper health. That's why we handled it also under the child protection program.
Excellent. So perhaps you observed, I think, and I was going to ask, but now I think I understand more. I was going to ask you how you became, or yeah, I would like to ask, how did you come to this important observation that so many children in Uganda, in your country, were being and are being abused? How did you observe that, if I might ask?
Okay. Personally, from my own community or my own district, I could see this with my own naked eyes.
Okay.
And even community leaders were seeing this with their own naked eyes. And they talk about it, but they don't take action. The same happens to other areas within the country. It is all over the TV. While you're watching TV, you see a child of 12 years was burnt by a stepmother, and he cannot walk. He has become lame. Or they're showing a story of a blind person who has stayed for 22 years without going to school. He or she has no skill. So the observation I kept asking myself that I think it's not good to just look at these things happening before me, but I can do something small. So in 2017, when I got my first job, I decided part of my money I would use to invest in the organization which had formed so that we could use it for running other activities, supporting the volunteers who are helping us to ensure that they reach communities and talk to parents about the rights of their children. That's basically I observed that these cases of child abuse were taking place in the community. But they are also have been written about because we receive police reports about a number of cases of defilement, cases of child neglect, cases of child assault, and so many other cases.
It's horrible. Really, really unexcusable. Yeah.
Mm.
I appreciate, well, I thank you for having the courage in your life to take action, and this is ridiculous. What, I mean, why do you think, have you given any thought or come to any conclusion why this is such a profound problem in your society?
why
Right.
why this issue has I've gotten attention of this issue. It's because it happens, and I feel it can be done away with. There are some cases whereby if you intervene early, children are likely not to live with disabilities. I give an example of also my nephew who could not walk. He's called Jovan. Uh, I could see him, he cannot walk, but I know that if such a child is maybe taken to a physiotherapist and and they work on him through rehabilitation, he can get back to his real foot and be able to be self-reliant in terms of walking. And then also the inspiration from Sam, who took around 12 years while I was finishing my first level of education, he had not joined. I really felt that no, I think I've seen it happen to my relatives and I don't want it to happen to other people. So I took an action to ensure that yes, for those children whom we can help, we could do something, and we actually started by helping a group of 13 people whom we first helped by assessing them and giving them some particular support. And then from there, we decided to have a bigger disability outreach, which we identified 200 children, and are the ones we are currently supporting. If we supported some with a laptop, we leave him and we keep monitoring him. Then we go to another child with another disability. And the biggest thing which we are now trying to do is to ensure that we don't just help them, but we link them to hospitals which are having specialists in handling disabilities. For example, we have been able to link up with hospitals which do physiotherapy, then occupational therapy, to especially those ones who cannot manage to do some kind of work and those ones who cannot walk. For those ones who are blind, what we are trying to do is, if we identify that a child is having a severe visual impairment, we take them to a hospital within Uganda called St. Benedict in Tororo, where they are assessed to see if they can improve or not. Of course, some of the disabilities, why we had to pursue is because they could be solved, because they were like the disabilities which occur as a result of poor feeding. A child is only eating one food rich in maybe carbohydrates. They are not taking care of the proteins or vitamins. And then there are also disabilities which come with the behaviors of the parents, especially those ones who are especially expectant mothers who keep taking alcohol, abusing drugs. In the end, you find that a child has become blind, a child has become lame. So I took this direction knowing if community members were to be sensitized very well, we could get rid of some of the disabilities which are in existence. And for those ones which are already in the existence, I felt yes, we could do something to promote accessibility and and participation for those people.
Wonderful. So good. So good. So, I mean, you know, in my own life, I have done a lot of work, a lot of volunteering. Actually, I am 29 years old. As I said on Messenger, I've never been to Uganda, but I have been to East Swatini,
Yes.
which is a very, very beautiful place. What can
Mm.
you what can you tell me, you know, about Uganda? For example, are you living in Kampala right now? Are you in the capital right now?
Mm, I am not living in Kampala right now. The district where I'm living mostly is called Sironko and Mbale. There are two neighboring districts that are in eastern Uganda. Uh, what I can tell you about Uganda is it is a very hospitable country. I think I feel there's no country which is so welcoming like Uganda. Everyone is basically a friend to you, even just at first sight. People are very caring. And another thing I can tell you about Uganda is that at least what I know, people are religious. They love God so much, and they would not tolerate anyone who does anything contrary to God's instructions and commandments. So it's a very welcoming place. We have good weather. We have 2 seasons in a year. We have the rainy season, and we have also the dry season, which is full of sunshine. And the foods grown here, basically, the most staple foods here are rice. We have what's called matoke, those are bananas. And for sauce, we have beans, mainly beans, and beef are the ones that people like most as staple food. When you come to Uganda, you cannot miss to eat those ones there.
And how would you describe the land and the topography of your region in Uganda?
Okay, for topography, we have 4 major areas in Uganda. There is central Uganda, there is eastern, there is west, and there is north. Now, in the north, northern Uganda is generally flat. Then, the eastern part of Uganda is having places which are flat, while others are hilly. For example, here in Mbale and Sironko, it's generally a mountainous area with so many hills. And this actually gives a very hard time to people with disabilities, especially when it comes to walking. It might even be challenging to walk with a white cane because some of the roads are not very okay. They have a lot of ditches and potholes. The other region is western Uganda. It is also highly mountainous, very many valleys and hills. So it is very interesting, but we have generally hilly places. It's surrounded with very many hills, and but the hills also just act as part of tourism because they're like mountains. For example, here we have what is called Elgon. In Bala, we have what is called Elgon Mountain. Then in Western, we have what is called Mount Renzori. And in the northeast, we have what is called Mount Moroto. So it's very interesting. The topography is very interesting. And I must say it is mostly characterized by the hills from in the west and the east, while central and the northern are not so much hilly.
Yeah, excellent, great. And what can you tell me about the roads and the well, yeah, what can you tell me about the transportation system as a whole in Uganda? Are there buses? Are there highways that connect the country? What can you tell me?
The highways are generally good. Most of the highways are tarmacked, while the rural roads we put what is called maram, compacted soil which is strong enough to resist bad weather. And the most common transport here, I must say, they are motorcycles. Currently in Uganda, motorcycles are more common than any other transport means. And the buses are mainly used for connecting people to longer distances, for example, from one major town to another. And in this case, for example, there are major buses from towns like Mbale, Soroti, to Kampala, to Malaba, to Mbarara, and others. Then we have vehicles which we call commuter taxis, which move shorter distances, for example, linking transport within districts. And then the most common one is what we call motorcycles. Here we call them locally that border borders. Border borders are the most common one for convenience, for shorter distances, and for example, beating traffic jam. When there's traffic jam, we use border borders, the
Really
motorcycles, to make sure that you reach a place
wonderful.
earlier.
Excellent. All right, well, listeners, we're going to move into our break, our 1 minute break. So as we say for the radio